In this video, we will assemble a 42-inch Brinly Lawn Sweeper. The steps in this video apply to both models LS2-42BH-S and LS2-42BH-G. In this video, we will be assembling model LS2-42BH-G. Tools required for assembly: a 1/2-inch wrench and socket, a 9/16" wrench and socket, a 7/16" wrench, a flat tip screwdriver, pliers, and gloves. Note: an organized skin pack with all the necessary hardware has been provided with this product. Be sure to use the hardware panels called for in each step of the assembly. Also note, during assembly, you will need to shift the tires away from the brush housing. Firmly grasp the lower pivot bar in one hand and move the brush housing with the other hand. This will especially come in handy on step 1. Step 1. Attaching the tow bars. Attach the tubes to the brush housing using the hardware in panel 1. From the inside, pass two 5/16" by 1.5" carriage bolts through the brush housing and the tow tube. On the other side of the tow tubes, add a washer and secure the bolts in place with a 5/16" nylon lock nut. Repeat this step on the other side, aligning the two holes in the tow bar up with the two holes in the top of the brush housing, and from the inside of the hopper pass two 5/16" by 1.5" carriage bolts through the brush housing and the tow tubes. Add a washer to the end and secure in place with a 5/16" nylon lock nut, securing the tow bars to the top of the brush housing. Then secure the tow bars to the support arms by passing a carriage bolt from the outside through the side of the support and tow bar, and add a washer and lock nut to the end of the bolt. Repeat this on the other side by passing a carriage bolt from the outside through the frame support and tow bar, and add a washer and lock nut to the end. And fully secure all 6 bolts using a 1/2-inch wrench and socket. Step 2. The hitch plate height measurement. Park your towing vehicle on a level hard surface and measure from the ground to the bottom of the rear hitch plate. The Step 2 page in your manual can be used as a ruler. Record your measurement, rounding to the closest whole number. Step 3. Attaching the clevis. Use the rounded measurement from the previous step to determine the correct clevis assembly mounting holes. In this video, we will be mounting the clevis to fit on the tow bars at the 9-inch mark. Note: hitch plate heights between 7 inches and 10 inches will have the U-shaped extension at the bottom of the bracket. Hitch plate heights between 11 and 14 inches will have the U-shaped extension at the top of the bracket. Once the correct clevis assembly holes have been determined, attach the clevis assembly between the right and left tow tubes using the hardware in panel 2. Pass one 5/16" by 2 3/4" bolt through one tow tube, then be sure to add the spacer onto the bolt before passing it through the second tow tube. Then loosely add a 5/16" nylon lock nut. Then pass the other two 5/16" by 2 3/4" bolts through one tow tube, then the 2 correct holes in the clevis that align with your trailer hitch. Then pass the bolts through the other tow tube and add 2 5/16" nylon lock nuts. Step 4. You can now go back and tighten all of the hardware used on Step 1 and Step 3. Using the hardware in panel 3, slide the hitch pin through the clevis assembly and secure in place with the hairpin cotter. Step 5. Using the hardware in panel 4, loosely add the bolt and lock nut to the height adjustment handle. Then slide the height adjustment handle into place against the lower pivot side plate. Tighten this hardware securely using a 1/2-inch socket and wrench. Step 6. Using the hardware in panel 5, add a 5/16" flat washer to a hex bolt, then pass the bolt through the left tow bar and add another 5/16" washer, add one more 5/16" lock washer, and a 5/16" hex nut. Then tighten all of the hardware securely. Adding on to the same bolt, attach the lock arm using the hardware in this order. To the end of the bolt, add a 5/16" flat washer, then the lock arm, another 5/16" flat washer, and a nylon lock nut. Note: do not over-tighten the nylon lock nut. The lock arm should be able to pivot freely after assembly. Then slide the vinyl bolt cap over the end of the bolt. Step 7. Using the hardware in panel 6, attach the lock arm to the height adjustment handle by passing a 5/16 inch by 1 1/4 inch carriage bolt through the height adjustment handle, then through the lock arm. Add a large washer and a 5/16 inch star lock washer, and on the other end add the 5/16 inch knob. Note, for proper function of the sweeper height adjustment mechanism, it is important to assemble this hardware properly. Then, attach the vinyl grips to the end of the lock arm and the height adjustment handle. Step 8. Using the hardware in panel 7, add a washer to the end of the bolt, passing it through the right toe tube, and add another washer, a 5/16 inch lock washer, and a 5/16 inch hex nut. Then tighten securely. And add the vinyl bolt cap. Step 9. Assembling the hamper frame. Attach the long ends of the lower tubes onto either side of the rear tube, making a U shape. Using the hardware in panel 8, secure the tubes together with the 1/4 inch plastic plugs. Lay this U shape of tubes down in the bottom of the hamper along the inside edge. Then slide the second rear tube through the top sleeves of the hamper as shown. And slide the side tubes through the side slots of the hamper and attach into the top rear tube, using the 1/4 inch plastic clips to secure these pieces together. Step 10. The hinge rod assembly. Note, the hinge rod assembly should be aligned so that when closed, the V points towards the open side of the sweeper hamper. Align the hinge rod assemblies against the lower tube as shown. Slide the 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch round head screws between the hamper and the lower tube. Additionally, running them through the hinge rod assembly, the screw ends should be pointing towards the center of the hamper. Secure in place with 1/4 inch lock nuts. Note, do not over-tighten the lock nuts. The spreader bar assembly should be able to pivot freely after assembly. Step 11. Align each spreader bar assembly with the hole closest to the top bend on the upper arm side tubes. Secure each side with a round head screw and lock nut. The screw ends should be pointing towards the center of the hamper. From the outside, run a round head screw through the spreader bar assembly and the upper side tubes, securing in place with a lock nut. Note, the spreader bar assembly should be able to pivot freely after assembly. Step 12. Using the hardware in panel 10, add 1/3 inch nut to each end of the hamper stop rod until it is approximately in the center of the threads. Pass the ends of the hamper stop rod through the holes on the front of the upper and lower side tubes. Step 13. Assemble 1/3 inch lock nut onto the end of the hamper stop rod. Tighten the lock nut until the hamper stop rod is flush with the top lock nut. Hold the hamper stop rod with pliers while tightening the lock nuts. Now, the upper and lower side tubes should be trapped between the nut and lock nut on the hamper stop rod, but still loose enough to pivot freely. If the tubes do not pivot freely, slightly loosen the nut. Step 14. Pull up on the bottom of the hamper from the J channel and hook the J channel onto the hamper stop rod. Then take the flaps of the hamper and snap them to the bottom of the hamper as shown. Note, the flap should be on the outside of the lower side tubes after assembly. Step 15. Assembling the hamper mounts to the upper side tubes. Using the hardware in panel 11, from the outside, pass the hex bolts through the upper side tube, add a spacer, then pass the bolt through the hamper mount. Add one large washer and a nylon lock nut. Tighten the nylon lock nut completely and then loosen enough so that the hamper mounts pivot freely. Then repeat this step on the other side by passing the bolt from the outside through the frame, adding the spacer and the hamper mount, add another flat washer and a lock nut, tightening loosely so the hamper mount can pivot freely. Then add 2 vinyl caps to the ends of the hamper mounts as shown. Step 16. Attaching the hamper to the brush housing. Now add the hamper to the brush housing by inserting the hamper tubes into the ends of the tow bar tubes. Aligning the holes, attach the tubes with the hitch pins using the hardware in panel 12, securing in place with the hairpin cotters. Using the windscreen. When there is little to no wind, the hamper windscreen can be fully open. In medium winds, the windscreen can be attached to the hamper upper side tubes using the elastic straps on the end of the windscreen. This will keep material from blowing out of the hamper. Step 17. Attaching the pull rope. First, thread the rope through the pull handle and make a couple of knots to secure the handle onto one end of the rope. Then attach the sweeper to your towing vehicle and remove the sticky part of the hook and loop tape sticking one side to the rear of your vehicle. Then place the hook and loop tape side of the handle onto the vehicle and pass the rope through the middle of the hamper, tying a knot to the top bar of the hamper. Pull the top so there is a slight amount of slack and then cut any excess rope with a pair of scissors. Operational tips. Warning. To prevent potential injury or amputation of fingers, please be aware of the following. The pull rope and handle can get tangled in the sweeper brushes during operation. Do not wrap the pull rope around your wrists, fingers, or any body parts. Do not use the pull rope while the towing vehicle is moving, and avoid overfilling the hamper. Heavy loads are more difficult to dump. Leveling the hamper. After the correct brush height adjustment is determined, it may be necessary to adjust the hamper stop so that the hamper assembly remains clear of the ground. To adjust the hamper stop, loosen but do not remove the two nuts securing each side of the hamper stop. The rear-mounted holes are slotted, allowing the hamper stop to be pivoted up or down for adjustment. Move the hamper stop up or down to adjust the resting position so that it is approximately level. Then, tighten the bolts on each side to secure the hamper stop in position. The sweeper tow tubes should be parallel with the ground or angled slightly forward when the sweeper is connected to the towing vehicle. If the tow tubes are angled rearward, adjust the tow tube mounts on the Clevis assembly lower. This will angle the tow tubes forward and raise the hamper assembly. Operating the sweeper at a ground speed that will throw material to the back of the hamper under normal conditions is 3 miles an hour. The maximum operating speed for the Brinly Lawn Sweeper is 5 miles an hour. Transport position. To adjust the transport position, loosen but do not remove the knob and adjust the lock arm between the 1st and 10th positions as indicated on the adjustment label. Sweeper storage. This lawn sweeper can be tipped upright and stored against a wall using a minimum amount of space. First, remove any loose material from the hamper, then remove the small hairpin cotters and Clevis pins that are securing the hamper assembly to the brush housing. Remove the hamper assembly and replace the Clevis pins onto the hamper mount tubes for storage. Collapse the hamper by bending the ladder braces forward and folding the bottom of the hamper up to meet the top hamper bar. Place the rope and pull handle into the pocket created between the hamper tubes and orient the collapsed hamper so that the rear hamper tubes are up. Roll the sweeper to the desired storage area. Position the collapsed hamper between the sweeper and the wall. For questions or replacement parts, call Brinly Customer Service at 1-877-728-8224.